Welcome to day 38 of the 77-day video challenge. I saw on the calendar that today is lose the would-haves and should-haves. I thought that's probably a really good jumping off point for almost any of these messages. But I have something special planned for this evening. I mentioned it last night. Here we are at the brink of the halfway point in this project. And I thought I would bring you something kind of special. Most of you know me reasonably well, but over the course of this project, you've probably gotten to know me a little bit better. One of the main reasons I've embarked on this was to get to know myself better. Some of you may still have some questions about me and you're trying to figure me out. Well, I've anticipated what some of those questions are, and so I've got 100 responses to those questions. I'm not going to bore you with the questions, just the answers. Several years ago, John Kennedy Jr. launched his magazine, George, and at the launch of that, he held a press conference where he answered some questions that people had for him for many years. About 10 questions that were a lot of people asked. For the sake of brevity, he just announced his answers without announcing the questions. So it was mostly just yes, yes, both, no, sometimes yes, sometimes no, that sort of thing. Well, that's the approach I'm going to take tonight. You can figure out what the questions may or may not be. Some of the questions will be obvious. Some of the responses you may notice begin with the word because. Questions or answers that elicit a because usually are going to be in response to a question that begins with the word why. As I've shared a few weeks ago, I'm a little bit put off by questions that begin with the word why. Why did you? Why didn't you? Why don't you? Because usually those impose a defensive stance of the person responding. The presumption, I have my own expectations of this outcome. I need you to defend why you are not meeting my expectations. So that's something that you might bear in mind as you hear me read some of these answers to your questions. I want to generate some good karma. Neither. I'm aside. It's okay. Could be better. I have no obligation to you. I don't have to do anything for you. You have problems that are none of my concern. Because I have better things to do. Because somebody needed to do it. I didn't feel like it. I forgot. I didn't check my calendar. You ignored my invitation. Because I had to forgive you. I was the only one who bothered. Yeah, and I couldn't care less. Yeah, but it wasn't worth it. He's out of my league. I needed the job. It's my favorite color. It reminds me of my grandmother's house. I would, but it's inappropriate. Because I've been neglecting it. I was too embarrassed. I knew better. I didn't know any better. I was invited. I wasn't invited. I was afraid to ask. Probably a stegosaurus. I should have asked for help. I could make the time. but I haven't bothered. I still regret that and hope everyone is okay now. I'd pay off my house and establish a charity. It would probably be fiction. What kind, I don't know. I'll listen to just about any kind of music for a while. I really don't know. In a lot of ways, I'd like to make more money or have stronger relationships. It all suggests that my life right now is not already pretty good. Yes, I suppose. Maybe not so much for me. Sure, but it's none of my business. It's probably none of yours either. I don't bother to ask because it's nobody else's business, and I really don't want to know. Yes, it was awkward, and I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, I'm probably not as truthful as I'd like to believe I am. More sins of omission than commission. I was pretty sure I could get away with it. I'm not a very good typist. Because you're not that smart, that cute, or that funny. It would take a lot of work. I don't have cable. Because I'm not that smart, that funny, or that cute. I don't want to look like a snob. I don't want to look like a dirty old man. I don't want to look desperate. I'd like to, but I don't want to leave my dog at home by himself. 29. Miss Jones, Art and Music History class. About 35 years ago, and I don't miss it. I haven't checked for a long time, and it really doesn't matter anyway. Since I was about 4 or 5. I don't know all of the details, but I hope everyone is okay. I was angry and had been provoked. Yes, I have a few specific moments of regret. When I know people were hurt, my apologies are not sufficient. I can only forgive that period. There are things I cannot fix. I really do not want to know the details. It happened because I was angry and I deserved better. I didn't know myself well at that time, and I was scared. Dean Jones, Adam West, or Bill Bixby. I was not paying attention and still regret it. Yes, the first one was the best, but I have favorite moments from all of them. Because I don't want to admit vulnerability. Because I didn't want to admit that I don't know everything. Yes, about 25 years ago. The whole thing. No, I have no interest. No, but I did almost 12 years ago. Yes, I've considered that, but I'm too lazy. No, and I would think you would know better than to ask. Probably a lot more than I would care to admit. I don't think he's immoral. I think he's just amoral. I know it was not an accident. Yet, no, nobody has told me that. Yes, but you're not the first person to say that. Because it's not my decision. Because I don't have the money. Because I truly don't want to. Because it might make me feel good about myself, and I'm not used to that. Because I don't know if I have the self-control to handle that. Yes, I wish I had told him. I regret now that I didn't take the class. Things would probably be very different now. No, I don't, and I can't explain why. No, I haven't. I'm only mildly curious at best. Know when to say no, when to say yes, and when to say nothing. I know it's tacky, but it's my preference. I may change my mind eventually. Yes, in the broadest sense, labels carry a lot of baggage. No, I don't. It brings back a lot of really bad memories. I would tell him that I carried a lot of resentment toward him for a long time, partly because I knew he had privilege. I hope that he raised his kids better. Yeah, sometimes I think it worked out. Almost certainly, I can't put my finger on what those lessons might be because I'm smart and I remember things. I thought it was a mistake. I didn't want to disappoint my family. Almost 25 years and still one of the best things I've ever done. I think it's cruel and not funny. I don't know. Why do you think I'm single? Yes, once, and not the best time, and not the last time, I hope. Not until 1992. Couple of chances, two, prior to that. I wanted my own variety show, like Carol Burnett or Flip Wilson, or my own talk show, like Johnny Carson or David Letterman. So there are some answers to 100 questions that you may or may not have about me. I look forward to seeing you on day 39 of the 77-day video challenge. I've answered your questions, whether you've asked them or not. So if you feel that you have to ask those questions, I can just say, I've already answered that. And nevertheless, I look forward to seeing you on day 39 of the 77-day video challenge. Have a great evening.